Welcome to the world of the online gaming forum. The forum behind me is the forum for the Lord of the Rings Online. It's the official forum, and that's a term that just means it's a forum that was created, a community discussion place that was created by the maker of the game for fans of the game and players of the game to interact with one another and with the developers of the game. There are other kinds of forums, and some of them we'll be investigating later, especially forums for specific groups of gamers, like female gamers or older gamers. And the thread I'm looking at here has a very specific thing to do with the ethical critique module in which we're now engaged, because this is a thread about the ethics of playing games. It's that interpenetration between the world of the game and the real world in which ethical choices matter, we might say, the world that we live in. So this thread is the kind of thread that you'll find on a lot of forums for massively multiplayer online role-playing games like Lord of the Rings Online and World of Warcraft, because those are games where people actually interact with one another within the game. But you'll find similar threads on official forums for single-player games as people evaluate the kinds of things they're doing in the game and trying to figure out what the best sort of performance or composition, in Lord's term from Singer of Tales, might be to play that game with. So this is a thread that I found, and it wasn't hard to find, that has a kind of ethical content. As I read some of these postings, I'll have to interpret some of the abbreviations to you, but these abbreviations would be immediately understandable to the people for whom this thread is intended, obviously. Okay, so here's the first post. It's from Niburu Lotro, and the thread is called Open Your Mind. It's a disappointment to me when a level 16 RK, that's a runekeeper, can't join a group of 4 people teamed up to do the Fellowship 21, that's level 21, Weaver quest because the leader says I'm too low. I insisted I wasn't because earlier tonight myself and an 18 Warden, that's another class, practically duoed one of the level 21 elite spiders down there, only to die because of an ad. An ad is another monster that comes into the encounter and generally messes things up. There are then too many monsters to handle, and people tend to be defeated, or in other games, to die. And we weren't trying for that anyway. Parentheses, Warden just fell down there, so we started fighting. That's with 2 lower level people. This kind of stuff irritates me in MMOs. It always seems like people don't want to do anything unless there is absolutely, positively no chance whatsoever to come close to any kind of harm. Wouldn't want to make it interesting, would we? Okay, so that's the first post of this thread, and the thread goes on for 4 pages. Here's the next post in response to that. This is from Zcro. What I find more interesting is that even though they have a solid group and don't need any more people and probably won't find any more people to participate, that they still reject you. If you aren't going to replace a lower level with a higher level, then at least accepting those people will actually lend to a higher success rate. I think he means lead to a higher success rate, as long as they don't die, as you have more people focusing on a goal that can be overcome with less people. I think he means fewer people. When I come across a group quest, I don't discriminate if there is a choice between someone and no one. I'd always rather take someone unless they would severely slow me down. A level 5 in Carndun, per se. That means a very low level in a very high level area. And here's the next response from Tordon08. One bad player can wipe an entire group easily by making bad pulls. A pull is when you attack a monster and the monster comes towards you, and that can end up being a bad situation because, again, you have too many monsters, or in the MMORPG parlance, you have too much aggro. With that said, if the player is competent, I agree with you. There's no reason to turn people down. In the case of the spiders noted, though, as a level 16 on a level 21 quest, everything will be read to you, and you won't be contributing much at all while stealing some of the group's kill XP. Okay, what that means is these spiders are of such a high level that the original poster at a low level won't really be able to hit them very much. It won't be able to help, and yet will get a lot of experience points. Remember experience points from when we talked about the Aristea. There's an ethical problem there, right? While I personally wouldn't deny that person if they acted like they knew what they were doing, I could see the other side's reasoning. So this is ethics, right? And it's ethics in an MMO, and it's ethics between real people talking about something that's going on in this story that's called Lord of the Rings Online, that all of the players of Lord of the Rings Online play together. It's very much the way that moment in the first Song of Demodocus looks in Book 8. And in fact, I think it's maybe a more robust model for ethical critique than the model that just comes from within the game. That is, do you eat the crunchy chicks or not in Fable 2? I think obviously there's room for both of them, and I think there are analogies to be made with both of them within Homeric epic. There are analogies to the crunchy chicks when we find a hero like Odysseus doing something questionable. You know, that strange Aristeia, that perverted Aristeia he has in Odyssey 22, which would be kind of like eating the crunchy chicks in Fable 2. But then also there's room for putting epic traditions up against each other. That is, the Odyssey tradition and the Iliad tradition playing off about which is the better kind of hero. And that's what's going on here. And to me that seems like it's a little more fruitful as a way of investigating our own culture's values, and then reflecting from those values back on the values of archaic Greece, wondering if we have the same values or if they're different, and I think they must be, how exactly they're different, which helps us evaluate both our own culture and the culture of archaic Greece.